Hey guys, welcome to Seller Sessions on YouTube. Today I bring in Joe Jakes. How you doing, Joe?
Hello, mate. You're very good. Thank you.
Yep, good. So you've bought a ticket, you're coming to Seller Sessions Live, but before we get into that and get into a bit about yourself, let's talk about your visit from Amazon yesterday. So you had the guys over from the States come over to do some business feedback with you.
Yes, absolutely. We had 3 people come over to my offices, 2 from the user experience team and 1 from the seller relationships team. All flown in from California, so it's quite funny. Finally, from years of not being able to talk to Amazon, they come and talk to you. So that's kind of all part of growing a business, I guess, and kind of becoming a bit more notable. But certainly starting to feel like the likes of you and I are getting a bit more of an ear with Amazon, and kind of they're listening to us a bit more. They're taking a bit more interest in people like us, and they're helping us. They're asking us to help them move forwards all the time. And we you and I now both sit on a panel of sort of feedback of development of tools. So yeah, it's quite a big it's quite a good thing. But yeah, it just helps show you what a massive energy and momentum. And yeah, it's the biggest, most valuable company in the world, but they really do run it like a kind of startup. So it's kind of
it seems to be all in silos, that's separated off, and everyone's got their own cost centers and stuff. So after this, I'm going to head down myself and have the similar conversations to you. I've got a bit of a hit list I want to go into, but let's talk about you now. 7-figure seller, you're a historic brand. Do you want to give a bit of background, category that you're in? You've been selling on Amazon a number of years, but off of Amazon, most importantly. You've been around how many years? 100 years or so, isn't it?
224, sorry.
224 years, wow.
Yeah. All of you works well, mate.
So talk to me about what you do.
So we sell in toys and games, a bit in sports and outdoors. I think our products were first listed on Amazon 10, 15 years ago, something like that. Used to all be sold via resellers. We realised they weren't doing a very good job of it. So we sort of took control ourselves about 8 years ago, 5 to 8 years ago, something like that, and kind of got serious 5 years ago. And now we're romping away. We did used to sell in the US, but just couldn't afford to fuel the growth of the US business and the UK business. So we had to sort of take the difficult decision to close a profitable US business and kind of focus on UK. And now the UK is going bananas off the back of that. We kind of put out anywhere between, as an average over the last 3 years, we put out anywhere between 30 and 100 new SKUs a year.
Wow, that's impressive. So talk me about your marketing tactics. I mean, you're quite technical. We've had long conversations about PPC and ranking and stuff. What's your main focus at the moment?
Marketing wise, first of all, it's what having a lot of people try and, as I call it, push stuff uphill. So you've got to have the right product to begin with. And a lot of people kind of get a dud product and hold on to it for dear life because they're invested in it. I get that. I too have done that. But now when something's bad, you've got to get in and get out. But for me, when you've got a good product, you do have to go PPC. You talk about owning that space. We become very obsessed with metrics on advertising. And actually, all the ad men in the 60s in New York didn't have metrics of how many eyeballs, how many purchases, how many people saw that advert that clicked and did this. So you've got to kind of, if you've got the right product, you've got to believe what you're doing and follow your own belief and momentum for that. Certain products work very well on social media, certain products don't. Some products work really well via PPC because they're sort of affordable, some don't. I do a lot of chatbot stuff to liaise with customers. As you know, I use loads of pool stuff. And so it's about liaising with customers and kind of pushing stuff hard.
Yeah, makes sense. So you bought a ticket for Seller Sessions Live. I mean, what made you buy a ticket? What is your thought process? Why did you want to come?
I think I was top first 10 people to buy a ticket. For me, it's got to be one of the best things in the UK. I do attend all the Scale for Retail events, but I know you and I listen to your podcast religiously. I forgot to tell you this, the Amazon people are now referencing you as one of the best podcasts in the UK, Danny. I forgot to tell you that. It was one of the feedback from yesterday. I'll tell you off.
Oh, what? Someone at Amazon?
Someone at Amazon said you were the best podcast in the UK. Yeah, I forgot to tell you that.
I'll take that. That's pleasant. That's nice.
Yeah, that's very pleasant.
Back to you. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, so back to me. It's just more about kind of getting together with the people, meeting other sellers. As we all know, it's often quite hard to understand what's happening in the Amazon world. So the bigger the network of great people you have around you, we're very lucky. We know each other. you can kind of cover off bases a bit quicker. And, you know, if you approach this Amazon world with a I'm stupid hat on and I'm desperate to learn as much as possible and never forget that, you do pretty well, because everything you know today will evolve and change in 6 months' time. And that's mark of a good entrepreneur, is the fact you never get too pompous and kind of go, right, I know it all now, right, off I go.
Exactly.
Because, you'll have the carpet ripped from underneath you.
Yeah, no, you have to stay on top of your game. And that's what I mean, for me, with the podcast and stuff, by having people on, I'm learning all the time, and it keeps me sane. It keeps me in the game and focused all the time. Because I know if I've got quality, my goal is to always put out quality content, which means is if I can find quality content that other people like, that means I learn that content as well. So it forces me to learn without gaps in between. Because, you know, you can get a bit sloppy, can't you? You can rest on your laurels. There's always something new every week. And my job is to find the best content in and around running 3 businesses, the best content for that week or that month or that period of time. And in doing so, it forces me to be on the cutting edge as much as possible.
Absolutely.
On what's going on in terms of service updates, all these different things that really matter to your business. Because I've seen people that are just 6 months out the game. They may not listen to a podcast or gone to an event or whatever they've done. You know, they put themselves into their little silo. And then they've got these inserts. It's like, no, the terms of service has changed a long time ago. You're going to get suspended. Do you see what I mean? Just things like that. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, you hear about people, there's a few Facebook groups, particularly a lot of the US ones, and they've started talking about deep discount super URLs the other day. And you're thinking, blimey, you know, I tried it once, probably a year ago, and they're so black hat considered now, and account suspensions, that people are still using them, wondering what goes wrong. So you've got to keep abreast of the game.
Exactly. But that's the thing, is like you're saying that, like your perception, they're so black hat, right? But there's been nothing proven, right? Because I've been interviewing Anthony, I've had Barkus on the podcast, and what we're trying to say is, because you've got that information now at this stage, that bit of information you just said is passed down misinformation, because there's no confirmation that it is black hat. Do you see where I'm coming from? Amazon hasn't come out and said it, but you do have to err on the side of caution. That's the thing. And my thing is that we've got to try and find the best and the correct information in that stage, because we'll do podcasts. I listened to podcasts 3 years ago. It's changed. So I never say to people, go back to 001, because if you did, the terms of services have changed since then. So it's out of date.
Absolutely.
I always say go back a month, 2 months. You know, historically, you might want to pick up the foundational elements of stuff, but never go back to a podcast that's been running for 250 episodes plus to go back to number 1, because that information won't be up to date. It's relevant in context. Do you see what I mean? So
the other thing I'd say about particularly seller sessions, and I dare to say it as a plug, but there's a lot of hot air spoken in the Amazon world about this will make you rich, this will crack this will create this out of nothing. And there's a lot of people using any event or anything to sell something, to sell another thing, to sell this. The thing I like particularly about your podcasts it's a general education of life moving forward in the Amazon sphere. Yeah. So it's not right, listen to this is what you've got to do. It's take all of this information, use your own intelligence, understand your own business, and help grow.
You need to take information and filter it and take what you need. Like when you're running the business, like people will be critical and be kind, whatever. You can take all of these different things. I think one of my attributes is I'm able to take information, remove biases aside from it, and take in what I want from that information. I'm always welcoming feedback. You know, someone might troll you, someone might compliment you. I get an email saying you're the best podcast. You know, I get an email saying, you know, nonsense. You get all these different things, and then you get someone impolite. But what you have to do is you have to take all of that information on board and look at it as critical feedback. Like the seller poll, we're launching that soon. I announced that got shared into a group, and then a big storm happened. Right? It all kind of kicked off. I didn't get involved, but what I did, I sat there, and while everyone was doing their thing and arguing with each other, I'm going, that's interesting. I like that bit, because I was able to take a step back rather than getting into the conversation and saying, what do you do? Because no one got nasty. No one's like attacking me personally. They were just saying, yeah, but you can't do this. And it works great for debate. You know, you can take that stuff in ways. You can take it personally, or you can take that information and
Absolutely.
go, you know what? If I take a step back and read through all that, I can make changes to what I'm doing with Seller Poll prior to launch. So basically that was customer feedback, unintentional, because I didn't post it on that platform. It got shared and then everyone jumped in, and then there was loads of people arguing with each other. And
Massively.
I didn't join the conversation. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It's the same as a sort of 1-star review, isn't it? As a seller, you always get a 1-star review. You get all emotional and upset and and it gets brought to your attention and you think, God, that customer's expectation, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And you can't ever avoid that situation. But in reality, that's a disgruntled customer. And that is somebody that's saying a real thing that's bought a real price, real product. So it's about being exposed and about kind of learning. And if you continue fighting everything, you've got to kind of, it's not for you. You've got to keep evolving and developing and using everything to better yourself. It's hard psychologically, but yeah, and that's why I'm coming to seller sessions, is because it's about incremental change, but setting you on the right path. And quite a lot of it is, right, I'm going over there, but I want to try and take the most direct route possible. And so often, particularly with a lot of this US stuff, is you bounce off so many miles apart walls that you're exhausted by the time you get over there and you've used all your resources, money, energy. The thing I like about your approach is that it's a gentle evolution and a sway and a kind of, you'll never go direct from A to B. It's impossible in this world, but it's the most efficient, considered, thought out process.
Yeah. I mean, that's why with the guys who brought in to do this, the focus is like, you got tiered seating. So you have your seller sessions, pads and pens. You'll be in, it's a keynote theatre. And then as the presentations evolve, you're making notes in your pad. And basically, I've said to everyone, everything must be, there's no theory in there. They're like, when they're sharing these slides and they're working, you need to be able to write notes down. And so that you can walk away with those notes and go, right, I'm going to do that on my business. That's what we've designed it as. And that's how we've spaced out the day, everything to who goes on at what time, because of the flow of content. I come from a teaching background. I used to teach video engineering and stuff. So I do have a grounding in comprehension and stuff, because I had to, because when you're working with technical information, working in the studio and stuff, I would have to be on my feet 6 to 7 hours a day holding a room. And the only way to do that is to know your content and actually have some structure in place. And that's what I've tried to implement with Seller Sessions Live. It's slightly different. There is networking, but also I want people to actually learn, not just like, oh yeah, that looks good and they were good, and
a copycat kind of like, yeah, okay, I got that, yeah, off I go, right, brilliant, thanks very much, boss.
The goal is
to get it, understand it, apply it, and think about it.
Exactly. Massively. Because what happens is that people have like different learning types. There's auditory, the visual, kinesthetic, etc. Right. So what we've worked out, or what it seemed to be, is that when you show someone something, you're visually showing it, they're hearing it as well. And then when they're noting it down, they're taking it from the short term to long-term memory. So that application there, you watch is what happens. Someone goes over a concept and a subject for you, and then breaks down all the steps. That is the easiest way that you're going to gain information, comprehension.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then take it, as long as you're prolifically correct with your bullet points and your note taking, you're able to walk away and do that, because in a structured, most Amazon sellers are super smart anyway. Do you know what I mean? So they get that because they're keen to learn information, and the goal is that they get the most out of the day. So it's very much, there's a lot of thought gone into the structure for the day, the way it's presented. Brilliant. Seated area. You're not resting on like your laptops on your legs and stuff like that. You've got room to work. Do you know what I mean?
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, that's what, mate, I bought 2 tickets to 2 people from my business to come in. So we're kind of, absolutely. It's all about learning, and I don't want to just be teaching it parrot fashion back to the people I work with. I want them to hear it firsthand and take their own interpretation of it. So
cool. Well, look, on that note, let's wrap that there. So, guys, we sold out of super early birds. The early birds are gone. There's some general mission tickets left, and there's a sneaky hidden discount code in there. If you go to sellersessions.com/live, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.